All right, welcome to Ask EMBN this week, where I'll try and answer your e-bike questions. Steve is missing in action, last seen topless on an Italian beach, so I'm here to try my best to answer your questions, and some really interesting ones this week where we talk about some new technology as well. So we'll kick it off with the first one from Kevin G, who says, is it possible to convert the motor at the back wheel, still have the motor, but get rid of the awful and extremely outdated derailleur and have an internal gear hub? The short answer is yes, there are a few options. Possibly a longer answer is you might not want to do it. So there's a few options. Bafang actually have a couple of hub motors that are dual speed, so just 2 gears within there, and they'll actually automatically shift the gears for you depending on your speed. The problem with these hubs really is you're putting a lot of the weight into the middle of the rear wheel. So for more gnarly mountain biking, then it's not really the best place for it. I know Steve talks about the benefits of mid motors for that reason. Also, I've seen this bike from a company called Stroma, which is a sort of commutery urban bike. It's actually got a 5-speed Sturmey Archer geared hub within that sort of rear motor as well. So you've got all the motor power coming through that hub as well. So there's a few options there. Whether or not they're going to suit the type of riding you do, I can't answer that. It's up to what you're riding, the type of bike you're riding. However, it does sort of bring me on to this actually really interesting innovation from a company based out of Finland called Pasila. I'm guessing I'm completely ruining the pronunciation of that, but Pasila Bicycles and Revonte have paired up to create this e-mountain bike prototype where it's got a mid-drive motor with internal gearing. And this looks to me like what you call CVT, continuously variable transmission. I think that's the full name for it. These aren't new, but this is a really interesting motor, and actually this does the shifting for you automatically as well, so there's no shifter up on the bar. Sometimes you've seen these where you twist the thing and it'll just change the sort of cadence and you keep getting the power. So this Revonte drive unit looks like a single speed, and you can use them with a chain or even with a belt drive as well. That looks cool. I've never tried that on an off-road bike, but I think that is really interesting. So they've actually made this bike. If you take a look at it, it's a titanium frame. It looks super cool anyway. Really clean looks. I guess, one of the big advantages of this is it's just going to be, more reliable. You've got way less drivetrain parts going on. It's all inside that motor unit, so hopefully it's weather sealed as well. You've got clean shifting. This thing's doing the work for you. I don't know what that's going to feel like. It says stepless shifting, so your cadence stays the same and you just get faster. Super interesting. I'd like to see where this technology goes, and will this be integrated into other bikes as well? We shall see. You know what, whilst I'm here talking tech, there's a couple of interesting bits of news I can throw into this Ask EMBN, and that is the Bosch ABS system that I know Steve has ridden and talked about an awful lot since its release. Has actually announced it's going to be compatible with Tektro and TRP brakes. Actually, that is the same company. TRP is the sort of high-end version of Tektro, but super interesting to see how that Bosch ABS is going to be available on other bikes coming later on in the year, apparently. Okay, on to the next question. This one's from Nomad, who's looking at upgrading my fork on my 2020 Giant Stance E2. I'm looking at the Fox 36 E-Optimized. What are the forks you look at, and what do you think of the Fox 36? Well, Fox 36 is a great fork. Your Giant Stance E2, that's a 120mm travel bike with a 130 fork in it currently. So yeah, I think that Fox 36 would be a great upgrade to, it comes at a 140. I wouldn't go any bigger than that. You're obviously slacking the bike out. I don't know what that bike is rated to. They normally give you a sort of max travel, but I think 140 would be absolutely fine. I think that'd be great. I like the 36 stanchion forks. So there are other options like the RockShox Lyric Ultimate are comparable. They're e-bike rated as well. Or on more of a budget, you got the Yari RC RockShox fork as well, which is, I think that's a 35mm stanchion. But if you go up slightly to 36, then you get a slightly stiffer fork without going too crazy. Obviously, with the weight of an e-bike, you could go up to something like a 38 or something bigger. But I think 36 is a good option for sort of stiffness, but also some flex in there as well. So yeah, I think can't go wrong with any of those forks, if I'm honest. Joseph1242 has got a question about security. So he says, I was wondering if there are any good trackers for e-bikes. Yep, loads of options here actually. This one quite interesting from Bosch. It's got this Connect module. Then once you buy it and you get it installed by a specialist dealer, then you follow that eBike Flow app, and then it sort of shows you your bike's location as well as its security status. You do have to pay a subscription fee with this, so you get 12 months free, but then if you want to subscribe, it's €4.99 per month or €39.99 per year. That is only compatible with Bosch motors, or there's loads of other sort of more general options with things like Apple AirTags, or Samsung do a smart tag version. Lots of bike brands have these kind of ways of mounting them. I've seen bottle cages where these mount sort of just underneath. So it's, you know, obviously if thieves see these AirTags, they probably know what they are, so they get rid of them. But there are ways of doing this. Muck-Off also have, it's a tyre valve, so it goes inside your tyre, so completely invisible. Your AirTag sits inside. So obviously then you use your Apple or your Samsung app to basically see where your bike is. There's also Vodafone Curve, which is a bike light and GPS tracker. So it's got a smart built-in SIM that gives you really good range. I've definitely watched videos on this as well to check these things out. And obviously Apple, they use other people's iPhones to find out where your Apple AirTag is. So it sort of depends on how widespread these things are, if they're using phones, otherwise they're GPS trackers. There's also this C-Sense Nowhere tracker, which was launched on Kickstarter. Also requires a subscription, has a fight mode, which triggers an alarm if your bike is moved. There are other options as well. I know Garmin computers, you can set a bike alarm on there. So if you leave your bike outside the cafe, you know, hopefully you lock it up as well. But if anyone moves your bike, your Garmin computer will register that movement and start beeping, and you can track that using your Garmin Connect app as well. Final question is from Billy Bennett, who asks, Steve, question, if you were paying for a bike out of your own pocket, which would you choose between the Orbea Wild or Specialized Turbo Levo Expert? Well, I'm not Steve, but I know Steve wouldn't pay for anything, so he's not buying any of those bikes. He's going to the pub. What would I buy if I was paying for it? I haven't checked the price, to be honest. Specialized Levo Expert, I mean, it's a sort of legendary bike. It's got that, it's going to be one of those classic bikes in the e-bike world. It's brilliant. I know both these bikes are brilliant. However, I really like the look of the Orbea Wild. If we're going on aesthetics, which I do, especially if I'm buying a bike, but also that's probably my sort of bike, 160mm travel, 170 fork, big battery. It's kind of a proper enduro e-bike. I would choose that, and it's a lovely looking bike. But stick your questions down below in the comments. Hopefully Steve will be back next week. If not, I'll try and answer them again. But yeah, leave your e-bike questions down below and we'll try and get back to you. Thanks for watching Ask EMBN.